Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. First of all, I pay homage to Triple Gem and homage to Bada Bhante ji and I pay my homage to Bhante ji here and all dear monks and upasakas and upasikas. So today I will talk about on a sutta, a discourse of the Buddha. The name of the sutta is Alavaka Sutta. Alavaka was a demon. The Buddha answered his questions regarding he had those questions, and those questions were taught by his parents. But by the time, as the time passes, as the years passed, he forgot the answers of those questions. So the sutta starts like this: when Lord Buddha was staying at mention of Yakha chief Alavaka in Alavi. When the Buddha was residing at mansion, a palace of Yakha, his name was Alavaka Yakha. Then this Yakha approached to the Buddha, and seeing that Buddha is sitting there in his mansion, he said that to the Buddha, "Get out, monk." He said, "Get out from his mansion." And then the Buddha replied, "Well, friend." And listening him, Buddha went out. Then again this Yakha said, "Come in, O monk." Then the Buddha replied, "Well, friend." He entered into the palace, mansion. Like this Yakha said 3 times, and Buddha listened him, and whatever he said, he did. He said to come in and go out from the palace, from the mansion. Whatever he said, in a similar way, Buddha also did. Buddha listened him. And 4th time he said same thing: you come into the palace, into the mansion and go. Like that he said. In the 4th time Buddha didn't listen him. And then when the Buddha didn't listen, he said to the Buddha, "Well, monk, if you are not listening," then he asked few questions to the Buddha. He said, "I will put some questions to you. You have to answer. If you could not answer, then I will tear out your heart and seizing you by the feet, the other side of the river Ganga." The Yakha said to the Buddha. Then the Buddha replied, "I have not seen in the worlds with its devas, brahmas and human beings, among monks and kings, who can do this to me. In spite that, you can ask questions whatever you wanted to ask." Then this Yakha started asking questions to the Buddha, as these questions were taught by his parents. But as time passes away, many years passed away, this Yakha essence, the answers of these questions. Then the very first question he asks in Pāli, King Suddhavittam Purisa Suchinnam Sukhamavahati King Suhave Sadhu Tarang Rasanam Kathang Jiving Jivitamahu Setang. In English it is, what is the greatest wealth here for an individual? King Suddhavittam Purisasa Setang, which means what is the greatest wealth here for an individual? This is the first question. Second, what, when well practiced, brings happiness? Third question, what is the sweetest of tastes? Fourth question, what manner of living is considered the noblest life? So this was the four questions in first Gatha asked by the Yakha to the Buddha. Then the Buddha answered in Pāli for what is the greatest wealth for an individual. For this question Buddha answered, Saddidavittam Purisasa Setang. In English, faith is the greatest wealth here for an individual. So this was the answer for the very first question. The second question was, what, when well practiced, brings happiness? So Buddha answered, Dhammo Suchinno Sukhamavahati. The wholesome course of action, well practiced, brings happiness. So this was the second answer. The third question was, what is the sweetest of all? What is the sweetest of tastes? The Buddha answered, Satchang have sadhu tarang rasanang. In English, truth is the sweetest of all tastes. The fourth question was, what manner of living is considered the noblest life? The Buddha answered, living by wisdom is considered the noblest life. In Pāli, Panya Jiving Jivitamahu Setthang. So here the Buddha answered the very first question, answered the first question, that the faith is the greatest wealth for an individual. So in Buddhism, the faith is rooted in wisdom. We can take an example like, especially we can take two examples according to the worldly life and practice. When a patient visits to a doctor for the checkup, for the treatment, and whatever the doctor suggests, a proper medicine to overcome the suffering, the patient listen very carefully and take medicines according to the doctors, and he actually experience that he is overcoming suffering. Then slowly he become faithful towards doctor and committed towards the doctor. Whatever doctor suggests him, he listen him very carefully. Like this, whenever he has any problem, whenever he is undergoing with the suffering, painful feelings or any health issues, automatically the thought arises in him that he should visit to such and such doctor, who is a very good doctor, well learned. He will give me a proper medicine. So like this, when we have this kind of thought, this kind of faith is considered a right faith, because by taking his medicine we overcome our suffering. That is why it is called right faith. And similarly in the Dhamma practice, whenever we have this kind of like mental stress or some other problems in the life, then Buddha gave this meditation, this Dhamma. Buddha said, whoever practice this Dhamma, surely they will overcome lamentation, mental stress, and different kinds of suffering, especially dealing with the mind. In fact, the bodily feelings also, whenever there is feelings, suffering, like unpleasant feelings, we can also overcome the suffering by practicing Dhamma. In fact, the mental, the stress, lamentation, when we and the grief, whenever the relatives passed away, we have this great suffering. By practicing Dhamma, we come to experience that, oh, this is also impermanence. And when we talk about these bodily feelings like pleasant, unpleasant feelings, like more gross kind of unpleasant feeling, heaviness, and some heat in the body, when we contemplate, we may not be able to cease feelings, but we accept those feelings. When we aspect those feelings, we expect that yes, these are the feelings because of certain elements. They arises, they stays, and they passes away. We accept the real nature of the feeling, then we will not suffer because of the presence of the feelings. We accept, and we are not mingle ourselves into the feelings. In this way, we overcome our unpleasant suffering, unpleasant feelings. But they are not completely ceased. But we are staying away from these feelings. Still we are experiencing, but we are not like judging them. We are not resisting them. You should not be there. But we accept, yes, these are the feelings. They are conditioned by some elements. They are conditioned by the mind. Yes, they are there. They are there because of some causes and effects. There must be some causes. The causes are elements and the mind itself. And we experiencing, these are the effect. These are the effect. By aspecting in this way, we overcome mental suffering and physical bodily suffering also. So by taking this meditation of the Buddha, by taking this method of the Dhamma, when we put into the practice and we come to experience, we experience calmness, peacefulness, and we letting go them very easily. So we see the gradual destruction of our cravings. We are not resisting to the feelings or mental emotions. We just observe them and letting them go. Likewise, like this, we see the development of our mind, and in this way we become faithful. We become faithful to the teachings of the Buddha. So, similar as a patient who overcome his suffering by taking proper medicine from a doctor, and he developed faith towards that doctor and taking regularly that medicine, and in this way he overcome his suffering. So we can, in this same way, we can develop this right faith to the teachings of the Buddha, to the Dhamma. And when we have this proper right faith to the teaching, we see some development in our mind. We say right faith because of development of the mind. It is not because there is this Lord Buddha who was enlightened being, but we adopt the teaching, we put into the practice, we see the development of our mind. Then only we develop this right faith. So, having right faith is the greatest wealth for an individual. So, in this way, we can understand this very first answer of the Buddha, the very first answer. The second one is the question was, as you remember, that what when well practiced brings happiness. So the Buddha answered that when you practice wholesome actions and when you practice Dhamma in right way, then that brings happiness. So the right wholesome actions means right practicing Sila. We can see when you practice Panchasila. Panchasila means not killing, not stealing, and not doing sexual misconduct, but having faith, committed to the wife and husband, both they are committed to both to each other, and not telling lie, not taking any things which makes our mind clouded, confused. Such things you are not taking. So these are the 5 precepts. So when you are not doing these things, it automatically brings some social happiness in the family and in the society, in the country as well. Like there will be less crimes in the society, in the country. So it brings like social happiness, and it also brings mental happiness. When you do meditation, you will not regret of doing wrong things. So in this way, it also brings mental happiness, because there is no remorse. And when we try to understand, when you practice this Sila, what can be the results. So this Sila takes us up to the enlightenment according to the Buddha's instructions. Buddha said, when you practice Dhamma, when you practice Sila, so when you practice Sila, then there will be no remorse. When there is no remorse, there will be joy and rapture. When there is joy and rapture, there will be happiness. When there is happiness, there will be samadhi. Samadhi means happiness. Now people will confuse samadhi means something else, something dry field where there is nothing exist, happiness or nothing exist, anything to taste, But samadhi is not like that according to the Buddha. Buddha said samadhi is happiness. When there is happiness of mind, there is samadhi. So likewise, the Buddha further explained, when there is samadhi, then you can see things as they are. So likewise, Buddha explained, when you practice Sila, you will have these results and you will reach up to the Nibbana, the ultimate happiness. And when we say wholesome action, it includes dana also. Dana, Sila, Bhavana. Dana means generosity, Sila means morality. There's 5 precepts, 8 precepts. And Bhavana means meditation. Just now we have practiced breath meditation and loving kindness meditation. So Bhavana means this meditation. So Dana also brings happiness. How? We can understand from one of the sutta called Senapati Sutta, where there was a chief of army in the time of the Buddha. He approached to the Buddha and he said, Venerable Bhanteji, please explain what are the results of dana which can be experienced in this very life, here and now. Then the Buddha said, the very first result of dana, result of generosity is the giver will be loved and dear of many. He is loved by many and dear to many. This is the first result which can be experienced in this very life. And further the Buddha explained the second consequence, second result, that is the wise people will associate with him. Normally, unwise people never appreciate dana, generosity. Only the wise people will appreciate practice of generosity. And when they hear that so and so is doing dana, charity to someone, then they will approach him, they associate with him. So this is the second result of doing dana. Then third result of dana that a giver gains experience in this very life is reputation. His reputation will grow. Among the people, he will have very good reputation. So this is the third result a giver experience in this very life. Then the fourth result which Buddha said is, whenever he visit in assemblies of monks, assembly of Brahmins, assembly of great peoples, they will visit with confidence. They will not hesitate. Like normally there are some people, they hesitate to go in front of great people, or sometimes they think that so and so people, so and so man, or so and so saint, so and so monk can read their mind, so and so is a good practitioner, it is not suitable for me to be in his presence, to be in his sight. So they hesitate to go. But when you practice this dana, you will not have this hesitation, you will have confidence. So these are the four results which can be experienced in this very life. So dana, in this case, like when you have good reputation and you are loved by many and you are dearer to many, is also a happiness, a kind of happiness. Yeah? So we can see in this sutta, in this Senapati Sutta, which Buddha explained, these four results of dana. When you practice this dana, then it also brings good reputation, and when you have good reputation, it gives some encouragement to do more wholesome actions. And also it also, like normally people, when they are not performing anything good, they don't have this confidence to do anything good. They have this inferior mentality to face people. But when they do some good practice of Dhamma, then they have good superiority in the mind, and like superiority in the sense like they feel good, they feel confidence, and they don't hesitate. In this way, like they have this mental encouragement, mental confidence, mental power. So this is also a kind of happiness of the mind. Normally when people blame, you cannot perform anything good, because you think that people, so and so is blaming, the society will not support, they are blaming us to perform such good actions. So then your motivation, your confidence become very low. So it signifies that you are not happy. You are not happy internally. So when you do good things, practice of Dhamma in this way, this also brings happiness. And likewise, this is dana. We spoke about sila. Likewise, the part of Dhamma is also samadhi. When you practice samadhi, just now you have practiced anapana meditation and metta meditation. So when you see your own, that when you are observing incoming and outgoing breath, the mind become calm, body also becomes calm, and when you practice metta also, loving kindness, you see that there is more calmness and lightness, and also the bit by bit destruction of hatred, and you see arising of loving kindness for everyone. When we practice this repeatedly, then whomever we see, we can radiate, we can wish for her or his well-being, happiness. When we wish for her or his happiness and well-being, we ourselves experience calmness, we ourselves experience happiness. Sometimes we will experience, like when we have strong thought of radiating loving kindness, we can see that the mental creates some energy in the body, and when we have some pain somewhere in the legs, somewhere in the hands, while we radiating this loving kindness, then the mind creates some energy which overcome the different pain in the body, like pain in the legs or pain in the hand. We come to see that energy produced by loving kindness, it is affecting to reduce pain. We can also see these things. So when we practice samadhi, it also brings happiness of mind and happiness of the body. Like happiness of the body means some pleasantness in the body. So the Buddha answered this in second question. Then the third question was, what is the sweetest of sweets, sweetest of tastes? Then the Buddha said in answer, truth is the sweetest of all tastes. Normally in the Hindi there is a saying, सच बोलना बहुत कड़वा है, सच्चाई कड़वी है, ऐसा बोला जाता है. So it is, but in the Dhamma, in the Buddha's teaching, the truth is sweetest among all tastes. So here the truth can be like Four Noble Truths, or when we talk about Four Noble Truths, it is indeed very profound to explain, but we can, for some clarification, for understanding, we can, some extent we can try to understand, like we can take some objects, like taking body as body, taking feelings as feeling, taking emotions as emotions, and taking them as they are not in our control. And this is the truth. Whatever we think, and like whenever we have unpleasant feeling, we cannot change them. They have their own nature. They arises, they will stay for some time. We cannot make any change into the feelings or into the body, like our body is growing. We are getting old day by day. We cannot tell this body, oh, you remain young forever. It is not possible. Or whenever you see something, some pleasant or unpleasant object, if there is an object, and if your faculties, eye faculty, ear faculty, nose faculty, tongue faculty and body faculty is correct, workable, whatever you are experiencing through this faculty, you cannot avoid them. If there is a object, it strike into the eyes, and then the feelings will arise. You cannot avoid that feeling, because this feeling is dependent. It arises because of object, because of contact. When these two things meet together, then a feeling arises, a consciousness arises, a perception arises. So we have to accept them as they are without judging them, and this is the truth. This is the truth. This can be the cause of suffering, and this can be the cause of letting go or letting go of suffering or destruction of suffering. When we become attached to the pleasant object, then it becomes cause of suffering, because we become habituated of good pleasant. So we always seeking for good pleasant. In this way we become habituated of good feelings, good objects. So when we become habituated, then of course there is lots of craving. Because of that, whenever good pleasant is not there, then we suffer. We seeking for good pleasant object, but we cannot make them good pleasant object. In this way we can understand that among all tests, the test of truth is the sweetest. When we accept, yes, I cannot change the body, I cannot change mental perception, and they are there, let them be there, and you accept the truth. The truth is their impermanence. They are not in our control, and they are conditioned. They are conditioned, that is why they are suffering. So likewise, when we take in this way, then we are at peace. We are at peace. We are not reacting. That is why we can remain in peace. And by accepting this truth is the sweetest, because we are living in the peace. So when you realize the Nibbana, then of course the Buddha said, Nibbanang paramang sukhang. The Nibbana is the highest happiness, highest bliss. So Nibbana is like more higher, but of course in day-to-day practice we can also see these things. Without reacting, we can also experience happiness, calmness, peacefulness. So this is the result, and the result is sweetest among all tests. So this answer was third answer of the third question of Alavaka Yakha. And then the fourth question was what manner of living is considered the noblest life? Then the Buddha answered, living by wisdom is considered the noblest life. Living by wisdom. So living by wisdom can be applied in many ways. Say for example, we are living in a family, in a society. Then there can be some misunderstanding among the family. and there can be some like you can get some anger over some people. So you can contemplate like this: I am not here forever. One day I will pass away. By reflecting like this, we come to make our anger cease, or we can put some water in the fire by contemplating that yes, one day I will pass away. I will not be here forever. Like this, we can overcome our anger, and we can also forgive to people. So in this case, we can take this point, and some other point like living by wisdom means that we can take in different contexts, like not reacting to the worldly. There are 8 worldly conditions like lava, alava, ninda, pasangsa, sukha, dukha, yase, ayase. These are the 8 worldly conditions, like good reputation, bad reputation, praise, blame, happiness and suffering, and gain and loss. These are the worldly conditions. These 8 worldly conditions always be there. They were there in the past, they will be in the future, and still they are there. So to overcome, to manage this worldly 8 condition, it is like without reacting them. The Buddha advised in one of the sutta, Dhamma Sutta, the disciples of the Buddha, the practitioner who is trained in the wise teaching, they manage themselves in a right way. They think that these worldly 8 conditions are not permanent. In this way, he can live by wisdom. Living by wisdom is the noblest life. So this was the 4th answer of the Buddha. With this small Dhamma talk, I conclude here, and on some other Sundays we will continue this study of Sutta. With this I conclude, and I wish may you all be happy, may you all be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So, thank you, Venerable, for the not so short Dhamma talk. So, have you ever heard of Buddha meeting with an yaksha? Yakha. I think some of you might have heard for the first time, right? So, yakshas, they are quite hideous, quite dangerous, but not dangerous, I would say. They are quite powerful beings, but even though they are powerful, they are below human being. There are some. I think they come under asura. Sura means the devatas. Asura is the so this Alavaka story, and he had this question as preserved in his family tradition. It was coming down from many generations. So the 4 questions and some more questions are there. Maybe you can speak next some other Sunday, maybe next Sunday. You mentioned about the faith, the truth, Dhamma, and fine. Last one, Panya, wisdom. The first one was the faith, the confidence, and here specifically to somebody, to the Buddha or to whomsoever you idolize, so you should have somebody as your idol, or somebody whom you look up to, you need to have somebody. So Buddha, he was a human being, right? He was a historical personality, and he was there, but he became Buddha, and he was not born as a Buddha, but he achieved Buddhahood. It's a state of mind. Buddhahood is a state of mind. It is something he achieved. So you idolize him because you know that Buddha was also like us as a human being, normal human being, with all the different problems that we carry. You see, as a human being, we all carry along with us the different kind of problems and difficulties, the struggle, the pain, the loss, the 8 things that Bhante mentioned, So we do have that. All of us have that, One of the monkeys said, what is the commonality, similarity between a common man and the Queen Elizabeth? What is the similarity? So he said the answer is suffering. She suffers as well, right? She will have she aged, right? That's on suffering. She doesn't want to age. Nobody wants to get older, right? Midlife crisis is one of the starting point where you start feeling your age passing, right? So a lot of crises that we have. So suffering. So she will also have some stomachache, toothache, stomachache, so many other pain. She will lose some of her beloved people, like we lose. She may be having a lot of desires that remains unfulfilled, whatever the desire may be. So the suffering is something that is common, right? So Buddha was also suffering before he became a Buddha. He actually suffered, like all of us, we do suffer. So, but then he went beyond suffering, and he said, I am a Buddha now. I am beyond suffering, I don't suffer. So it's a big claim for a common human being to say that I don't suffer anymore. Can we say? We can't, right? None of us can say that, oh, I am totally fine, I'm bindas, Nobody can say, You said something right, something comes up, Oh, if that happened, then everything will be fine. Oh, if this happened, then everything will be fine. By the time you achieve all of that, you are old. You are about to die, right? But then you still didn't achieve that. So that's the thing. But at the same time, Buddha was not pessimistic, sadist or pessimistic or melancholic, which is you are being so you somehow see only the negative, or you see the world from a sad point of view. Buddha was not that. Buddha saw that, and then he sort of figured out a way out of that. He actually not just figured out, but he actually discovered the way out of that. And first, he himself achieved that. Then he taught. That's why we call Buddha Tathagata. Tathagata means somebody who Yathavari, Yathavadi, Tathakari, Yathakari, Tathavadi. What he says, he does. What he does, he says. That's what the Buddha is, the Tathagata. So this word Tathagata is very much used in the Buddhist scripture. Sometimes Buddha refer himself as Tathagata. Whenever he sort of mentioned himself as Tathagata. You see, so that's the reason we have confidence, faith in the Buddha. Out of this understanding, out of this sort of clarity, so much so that Buddha also said that you be critical about me, right? You don't need to just believe in me. You just don't need to, have some sort of blind faith in me. Every point in your practice, you need to be questioning. You need to be critical about things. Ehipassiko, come and see. So that's how you build the faith in the Buddha. But then when we say Buddha, it's not so much about the Gautama the Buddha. It's that state of mind which the Buddha achieved permanently. He achieved that state permanently, and we also, as we practice, as we follow, and as we see some result, we see the same Buddhahood within us. In the sense, that I can also achieve that state of mind which the Buddha achieved. So you sort of connect with the Buddha that way. You relate with the Buddha. It's not like Buddha is sitting somewhere up in the air and then he is too far to reach, or he is too difficult to understand. No. He said, I was very much like you. In many places he says, when I was untrained, worldly, worldly, so I had this difficulty. So some of the difficulties were, in fact all the difficulties were very much exact similar to us. It's not like he was going to become a Buddha, so his difficulty was different. No. It was very much like what we actually go through. So that's how the faith, the confidence is understood in Buddhahood. So also the other question the Venerable mentioned. So I think it is something that we need to develop, because the more you have some faith in the Buddha, you become more confident about yourself. It's like the Saddha is called the Indriya. It's the faculty. It's one of the strong quality residing in our heart. It's hidden in our heart. So it's this Buddha, who was a historical Buddha, who actually lived on this earth and who actually achieved that state of mind. You also bring and kindle that fire, that light of faith within you. So it's like you have faith in the Buddha, but then it's like you have faith in yourself. It's not so much about you just being loyal to Buddha or whatever, but it's just the loyalty. It's not like that. It's about him, and then it's about your own faith, you being confident about your own self and your own ability and your own ability to achieve such state of mind as well, where you don't suffer much. Gradually your suffering becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. With each practice, your suffering becomes lesser and lesser. So come more Sundays, you will be all becoming more happier and happier. The less Sunday, the more sad and sad. The more a Sunday, you will more happier and happier. Okay. Okay. So I think we conclude here, and we thank all of you for coming and attending, and we invite you to come every Sunday. It's every Sunday program where we meditate, chant, and share some words of Dhamma. So we wish all of you good health, happiness, and peace. May you all be happy, healthy, and all your wishes be fulfilled. May you grow in Dhamma and achieve the ultimate happiness of Nibbana. And let us now also pray for the happiness of all the beings in the universe. Sukhi bhave dukkha aham chang aham viya ita chang me sukhe hunto majjata chata verino imam hi gama khettam hi satta hunto sukhe sada tata rajeso chakhavale sujantano sadhu sadhu. See you next Sunday.